"You're something worse," he murmured. "You're distracting." She could feel his breath on her skin. The tension was almost unbearable, sharp, electric, alive. But instead of kissing her, he turned away, whispering, "Get some sleep. Tomorrow we stop running and start hunting." Hours later, Kendra lay awake, staring at the ceiling. She told herself she couldn't sleep because of fear, but the truth was far more dangerous. It was him, the way he looked at her, the way he moved like he owned every inch of space around him, the way she couldn't decide if she wanted to trust him or ruin him. Then she saw it, a faint red light blinking through the trees. Rhythmic, precise, mechanical. Her stomach dropped. It wasn't lightning. It was a tracker, and that meant someone already knew where they were. The red dot blinked relentlessly through the tree line outside the cabin. Kendra's pulse pounded. Somebody had planted a tracker. Inside Myungdae's empire, someone was feeding Baektae information. She turned to him. "He knows we're here." Myungdae's jaw tightened. He moved like a panther across the cabin floor, eyes scanning every shadow. "Not yet, but soon," he said. "And when he does, he'll regret underestimating me." "Who?" Kendra asked. "My inner circle," he said quietly. "Someone I trusted." Her stomach dropped. "You're saying one of your people betrayed you?" He didn't answer. He just grabbed his coat. "We hit them first. Tonight." Kendra followed silently as he led her into the SUV. He handed her a headset. "We're not going in guns blazing. This has to be precise. Stealth, intelligence, deception." She swallowed hard. "I'm supposed to sneak into your empire while pretending to be loyal to the enemy?" He smirked, eyes glinting. "Exactly. Consider it an initiation. And you're not just working for me anymore, you're working with me." Side by side, the city lights flickered as they approached Day One Global's satellite office, the heart of his empire, the place no one had breached in a decade. He glanced at her. "You ready, Miss Malcolm?" "I was born ready," she shot back, voice firm, though her heart was a drum in her chest. The building was eerily silent. Myungdae led, his movements controlled, predatory. Kendra followed, heels muted against polished concrete, adrenaline sharp as a knife. "Stay close," he whispered, "and no mistakes. One false move, and this mission dies with us." She nodded, catching his hand for just a second as they passed a security camera. A flash of warmth and reassurance amidst the danger. Inside, the office hummed with computers and quiet footsteps. They split up, moving through hallways with synchronized precision, hacking doors, slipping past guards, and tracing Baektae's digital signature. Then she froze. A man in a suit appeared around the corner. Familiar, trusted. "Myungdae," she breathed. "It's him. One of your own." The traitor's eyes widened. "Kendra." Before she could react, he reached for his phone. "Stop." Myungdae's voice cut like a whip. The man froze. Myungdae stepped forward, his aura razor-sharp, commanding, lethal. "You betray me, and I make sure you vanish. Understand?" The man stammered. I didn't." "You fed Baektae our location," Myungdae said, calm but deadly. "Do you understand the word loyalty?" "Yes," the man whispered. Myungdae raised his hand. The threat was clear. Kendra could feel the tension in the air, sharp as a blade. After securing the building and interrogating the traitor, Myungdae turned to Kendra. "You did well," he said, voice low, dark, intimate. She looked at him, chest still racing. "We did it together." He stepped closer, just close enough that she could feel the heat radiating from him. "Together," he echoed. His thumb brushed her cheek. The touch was lightning, dangerous, intoxicating. Kendra's breath hitched. "Why do you do that?" she whispered. "Do what?" "Make it impossible to think clearly." He smirked. "Because I can." The electricity between them was undeniable. Every brush, every glance, a secret promise. And yet the war wasn't over. Baektae's fingerprints were all over the betrayal, and now they knew he had allies inside the empire. People who would stop at nothing to destroy Myung-dae. Later, in his office, overlooking the Seoul skyline, Myung-dae finally allowed a small smirk. Baektae thought he could control the game, he murmured, eyes dark with anticipation. But he forgot one thing. What? Kendra asked, leaning against the desk. I always play to win. The words weren't just about the empire. They weren't just about Baektae. They were about her too. And in that moment, Kendra realized she wasn't just caught in his world anymore. She was part of it. Seoul's skyline glittered beneath a bruised, rainy sky. Kendra and Myung-dae were back at the safe house, strategizing, trying to trace Baektae's next move. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, eyes scanning for anomalies. The fire crackled behind them, but the room felt cold. Then the message came, encrypted, sharp, chilling. You're out of time. Tick-tock. Myung-dae. Kendra froze. It's him. He knows where we are. Myung-dae's jaw tightened. Then we make him regret knowing anything. Before she could respond, the cabin's door shattered. Glass spraying, splinters flying. Kendra ducked instinctively as masked men poured in. Guns raised, Myung-dae moved like a shadow, disarming two men with brutal precision. Each move smooth, lethal, effortless. You okay? He shouted over the chaos. Barely, she yelled, ducking behind the counter. Bullets ripped through the air. Kendra's pulse raced. The danger, the adrenaline, it was intoxicating, terrifying, and somehow thrilling. Smoke filled the room. Myung-dae grabbed her arm. Follow me. He led her into the cellar. A narrow, hidden passage only he knew about. Once inside, he slammed the door and pressed her against the wall. Their faces inches apart, hearts hammering, breaths mingling. You're impossible, she gasped. And you're irresistible, he replied, voice low, dangerous, intimate. The tension between them was magnetic, but the danger was real. Just beyond the door, Baektae's men searched, guns drawn, unaware that the two most dangerous people in Seoul were hiding mere feet away. Kendra looked at him, chest heaving. I shouldn't. You should, he said quietly, pressing closer. Because if we don't trust each other here, we die out there. His hands brushed her hair from her face, then trailed down her arm, steady, grounding, claiming. I'm not going anywhere, he murmured. Not for anyone. Not for him. Not for the city. And certainly not for you. Her heart skipped. And if I can't promise the same? He tilted her chin gently. Then you better start learning. Hours later, after the attackers had retreated, bodies neutralized, alarms disabled, the storm outside had passed. Kendra and Myung-dae sat in silence, soaked and bruised, the firelight casting long shadows. The air between them was thick, charged with adrenaline, fear, and something neither wanted to name yet. You're reckless, she said softly. Only around you, he replied, eyes dark, smoldering. And for a long moment, neither spoke, only felt the weight of proximity, danger, and desire. Outside, Seoul thrummed, unaware that its most powerful man had just survived a trap with the woman who was slowly, dangerously, becoming the only person he couldn't live without. Another shadow, another hidden hand. Myung-dae leaned against the doorway, arms crossed, watching her work. His usual intensity was softened only by the faint ache in his jaw where she had grazed him during the escape. You're obsessing, he said quietly, not looking away from her. I need to know who we're up against, she replied, not lifting her gaze. He stepped closer, voice lower, almost a whisper. And you're going to learn quickly. Some enemies hide in plain sight. People you trust. Kendra froze. You mean inside your empire? He nodded, gaze dark. Baektae isn't just a ghost. He's a puppet master. And I think some of my own people are dancing to his tune. Hours later, they reviewed security footage from the night of the attack. Kendra's fingers trembled as a familiar face appeared. Someone she'd seen at Day One Global countless times. It's him, she whispered. Myung-dae's eyes narrowed. He's been feeding Baektae information for months. You saw him smile during your first day, didn't you? Kendra swallowed hard. I thought he was harmless. Harmless doesn't survive this long, Myung-dae said grimly. In my world, being harmless is a luxury. He handed her a folder, thick with dossiers, encrypted messages, and photos. We take him out tonight, but not without knowing exactly who's behind this. That evening, the safe house hummed with quiet energy. Maps were spread across the table. Phones encrypted. Every exit, every guard, every camera accounted for. Kendra's fingers traced a possible route into Baekdae's office. If we move like this, she said, we can catch him alone. No collateral, no surprises. Myung-dae leaned over, close enough for her to feel the heat from his chest. Good, but don't forget, he murmured, voice low and intimate. I don't share the kill zone with anyone. She looked up at him, pulse quickening. Neither do I. And for a brief moment, the world shrank to the space between them. Adrenaline, danger, and a magnetic pull that neither wanted to resist. Later, when the maps were rolled and plans set, they sat by the fire. Rain began tapping against the roof again. Kendra finally broke the silence. Do you ever wonder if you could have a normal life? He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he took a glass of whiskey, swirling it slowly. Normal is overrated, he said finally. I like my life the way it is. Dangerous, unpredictable, and occasionally exhilarating. She smirked. Occasionally, he tilted his head, dark eyes smoldering. You have no idea. The tension between them was unbearable. Close, yet restrained. Desire simmering under the surface. Unspoken but undeniable. For the first time, Kendra realized that in this game of shadows, the one person she couldn't read was him. A notification blinked on her laptop. Encrypted. New. Kendra opened it. Her breath caught. You think you've seen the truth? You've only seen shadows. Prepare for the revelation. She looked up at Myung-dae. It's him. He's sending messages now. And it's personal. Myung-dae's expression darkened. Then it's time to step out of the shadows ourselves. Tonight, Kendra, we confront him, and whoever is betraying me inside my empire. No mistakes. Her pulse raced, not just from fear but anticipation, because with every secret uncovered, every betrayal exposed, the pull between them became harder to ignore. Night had fallen over Seoul, cloaking the city in a veil of rain and neon light. Kendra and Myung-dae drove through deserted streets, the black SUV gliding silently like a predator. This is it, he said, voice low, gravelly. Baekdae's inner circle. Tonight we end this, or at least send a message he'll never forget. Kendra checked her equipment one last time. Hidden comms, a compact pistol, and her laptop. Every tool had to work perfectly. And if we fail? She asked, voice steady despite the adrenaline. He glanced at her, eyes intense. Failure isn't an option, Kendra. Not for me. Not for you. Her stomach fluttered. Not just from fear, but from the undeniable pull between them. The building was a fortress disguised as a corporate office. Security was tight. Guards, cameras, biometric locks. Kendra and Myung-dae moved with synchronized precision, shadows among shadows, slipping past cameras and patrols. As they entered the inner sanctum, Kendra's heart raced. There, in the center, was the traitor, the one who had leaked Myung-dae's location to Baekdae. He froze. Recognition. Fear. You? Kendra whispered, voice icy. Myung-dae stepped forward, calm, dangerous, the embodiment of power. You betrayed me. And for what? The man stammered, trying to justify himself. It wasn't personal. He promised. Promises. Myung-dae's voice dropped to a growl. You traded loyalty for a ghost? Before the traitor could react, Myung-dae advanced. Every movement was deliberate, lethal, commanding respect and fear in equal measure. Kendra watched, a mix of admiration and fear flooding her senses. After neutralizing the immediate threat, Myung-dae turned to Kendra. You did well tonight, he said quietly, his voice low, intimate, almost teasing. She looked at him, feeling the heat of the night and the closeness of danger. We did this together. He stepped closer, eyes locking on hers. Together, he echoed. His hand brushed her cheek, slow, claiming electric. Kendra's pulse raced. Her body responded in ways she didn't expect. Desire tangled with fear. You know this is dangerous, right? She whispered. I live in danger, he murmured. But this, is a different kind of danger. Their faces were inches apart. The world narrowed to that space. The heat, the intensity, the storm of adrenaline and longing. Hours later, the city asleep below, they stood on a rooftop overlooking Seoul. The rain had stopped, leaving the streets gleaming. Why me? Kendra asked, her voice soft but unwavering. Because you challenge me, he said. Because you survive where others fail. Because you're the only person who doesn't fear me. And maybe that scares me more than anyone ever could. She swallowed hard. And what do you want from me? He leaned in closer, voice low and deliberate. I don't want to lose you. Not to him. Not to anyone. And maybe not to yourself. The tension between them was unbearable. For the first time, Kendra realized that this was no longer just a mission. It was a war and they were both on the same side. The sun had barely risen when the first shots rang out. Kendra and Myung-dae were still in the safe house, reviewing Baektae's last movements, when the walls shook from the explosions outside. Ambush, Myung-dae said grimly, his eyes darkening. He wants a message, and he's sending it loud. Kendra grabbed her gear, heart hammering. We can't stay here. We'll be sitting ducks. He nodded. Exactly. Time to move fast and smart. Follow me. Rain had begun again, slicking the streets, turning neon lights into rivers of red and gold. The black SUVs roared through the city as Myung-dae led Kendra through hidden routes only he knew, evading sniper fire, surveillance drones, and Baektae's men. At one point, Kendra's heart leapt. A bullet shattered the windshield inches from her face. Keep your head down, Myung-dae shouted, swerving sharply. She obeyed, adrenaline and fear mixed with something else. An undeniable pull toward him, closer than ever before. They reached a deserted warehouse. The perfect place to regroup. Myung-dae's coat was soaked, rain plastering dark hair to his forehead. Kendra couldn't help but notice the way the water traced his jawline, highlighting the harsh planes of his face. He turned to her, eyes blazing. You okay? Never better, she replied, trying to mask the tremor in her voice. He stepped closer, voice low, intimate. Don't lie to me, Kendra. You're too clever for that. She met his gaze, heart pounding, and in that instant, the danger outside disappeared. Only him. Only the intensity between them. Why do you always get the adrenaline first? Kendra asked breathlessly, brushing rain from her face. He smirked. Because I always know when something or someone is worth the risk. Her pulse stuttered. And me? He stepped even closer, the space between them electric, his voice a low growl. You're more than the mission, more than the danger. You're the only one I've let in, and I don't plan to let go. The words hit harder than any bullet. Kendra's chest rose and fell, her mind spinning. Desire, fear, and something unspoken stirring inside her. Before she could respond, he captured her lips in a kiss, fierce, deliberate, and impossibly tender all at once. Kendra's hands pressed against his chest, feeling the heat of him, the strength, the danger, the undeniable connection. For a heartbeat, time stopped. The city, the bullets, the betrayal, all of it vanished. There was only them. When they finally broke apart, rain dripping from hair and coats, Kendra's voice was a whisper. This shouldn't happen. He shook his head, dark eyes smoldering. It already has. They sat side by side on the wet warehouse floor, hearts still racing, breaths mingling, and no words were necessary. They'd crossed a line that neither could deny. Outside, the city waited, dangerous, unforgiving, and full of enemies. Inside, Kendra and Myung-dae discovered a new battlefield. One of desire, trust, and the knowledge that they were stronger together than apart. Back at Day 1 Global, Kendra and Myung-dae reviewed the latest intel from their infiltration. A pattern emerged, small, seemingly insignificant transactions that hinted at another mole, someone even deeper in Myung-dae's empire. Kendra's eyes widened. It can't be... not another one? Myung-dae's jaw tightened. It is. And this one is clever enough to hide in plain sight. Someone we trust completely. Her stomach dropped. The realization hit harder than any sniper's bullet. Myung-dae. This isn't just Baektae. This is someone who knows us. He stepped closer, voice low and controlled. Exactly. Which is why we need to act first. The pair moved through the corporate headquarters under the cover of night. Every corridor, every office was a potential trap. Kendra's senses were razor-sharp, every sound amplified, every shadow suspect. Keep your head low, Myung-dae whispered, pressing close as they advanced. Her heart thumped, from fear, from adrenaline, and something else she couldn't name. They rounded a corner, and the insider was there, calm, smiling. "Ah, Miss Malcolm, Mr. Myung-dae. Fancy meeting you here," the traitor said, voice smooth, too smooth. "You're finished," Myung-dae said quietly, eyes cold, dangerous. The man smirked. "You underestimate me, as always." Suddenly, the lights flickered. Guards appeared from hidden doors, Baektae's men, armed and ready. Kendra and Myung-dae found themselves surrounded, the walls closing in. "Think fast," Myung-dae hissed, grabbing her hand. "We fight, or we disappear." Together, they moved as one, precision, instinct, chemistry. Every attack, every dodge, perfectly synchronized. Kendra realized, with a thrill and fear twisting in her gut, that they'd become unstoppable when together. After neutralizing the guards, they confronted the insider. "You betrayed me," Myung-dae said, voice deadly calm. "For money, power, or fear?" The traitor hesitated. I had no choice. He would have killed me." Myung-dae's gaze was lethal. "No one controls me. No one threatens me or the people I care about." His eyes fell on Kendra, fierce, protective. "And that," he said, voice low and intimate, "includes her." Kendra felt heat rise to her cheeks. She realized, again, that she was no longer just a consultant or a spy. She was his. Later, back in the safe house, rain drumming against the roof, Kendra sat beside him by the fire. "You protect everyone," she murmured. "But what about yourself?" He smiled faintly. "I protect myself by protecting them. By protecting you." Her heart skipped. "Even when it puts you in danger?" "Especially then," he said. The firelight flickered across his face, highlighting the shadows, the scars, and the undeniable desire burning between them. For the first time, Kendra felt completely unguarded and terrifyingly alive. The city slept under a heavy fog, unaware of the storm brewing in its shadows. Kendra and Myung-dae sat in the war room of their safe house, maps, laptops, and encrypted files scattered across the table. "It's time to hit him where it hurts," Myung-dae said, voice low, precise. Kendra studied the plans. "Baektae won't see it coming. You've isolated his network, identified the insiders." "Exactly," he said. "We dismantle his empire from the inside before he can strike again. And this time we make sure he knows we're not playing games." Her pulse raced. Danger, strategy, and the undeniable pull toward him tangled together, sharpening her focus. Under the cover of night, they infiltrated Baektae's private operations hub. Every corridor was a potential death trap. Every shadow a threat. Kendra's heart pounded as Myung-dae led with lethal grace, precise and commanding. "Stay close," he whispered. His hand brushed hers. Accidental? Intentional? She couldn't tell, but the electricity was undeniable. They neutralized guards silently, disabled security, and reached the inner chamber. And there he was, Baektae himself, smug, dangerous, and furious. "You think you can destroy me?" Baektae sneered, reaching for a hidden weapon. Myung-dae's response was a predator's smile. I don't think. I know. Kendra moved instinctively, covering his flank, her mind razor-sharp despite the adrenaline. Bekte's men surged. A final desperate attack. The battle was brutal, precise, and fast. Kendra and Myungdae moved as one. Flawless, deadly, unstoppable. Every glance, every motion spoke volumes. Trust, reliance, and a bond forged in danger. Finally, Bekte was cornered, his empire crumbling. You can't destroy me, he hissed. Myungdae leaned close, whispering just loud enough. I already have. Later, the rain-soaking Seoul streets, Kendra and Myungdae returned to the safe house. The adrenaline faded, replaced by a quiet intensity, a moment suspended between them. You were amazing, Myungdae said softly, voice low and intimate. You didn't do so badly yourself, she replied, heat rising to her cheeks. He stepped closer, gaze dark, commanding, magnetic. Kendra, her breath hitched. She could feel it, the pull, the desire, the unspoken need between them. I don't want this to end, he murmured, voice barely above the fire's crackle. Neither do I, she admitted. And for the first time, they allowed themselves to truly feel it. The danger, the connection, the attraction that had been simmering since their first encounter. Amid the quiet, Kendra realized something terrifying and exhilarating. She wasn't just in his world anymore. She was his world, and he was hers. The war wasn't over. Bekte might have fallen, but new threats would emerge. Yet for the first time, Kendra knew one truth. Together, they could face anything. Seoul's skyline glittered under the full moon as Kendra and Myungdae prepared for the last strike. Bekte's network had been systematically dismantled, but one last obstacle remained: him. This is it, Myungdae said, voice low and precise. He thinks he's untouchable, that the city bends to him. Tonight, he learns he's nothing without fear controlling him. Kendra checked her gear, her heart steady but racing. And we'll be the ones delivering the lesson. He smiled faintly. Exactly. Together. They infiltrated Bekte's penthouse, a fortress of steel and glass. The guards were professional, highly trained, but they underestimated one thing: Myungdae and Kendra moving as a unit. Every attack, every maneuver was seamless. Kendra disarmed, disabled, and redirected threats while Myungdae moved like a shadow. Lethal, calculated, unstoppable. Finally, they reached Bekte, cornered and furious. You think this ends with me? He spat, sweat and rage dripping from his face. Myungdae's eyes were cold, dark, and merciless. It ended the moment you crossed me. Kendra stepped forward, voice calm, icy, final. Your empire is gone. Your ghost is finished. The confrontation was swift but decisive. Bekte realized too late that his power had been dismantled piece by piece. Every move anticipated. My how? He gasped. Kendra's eyes met Myungdae's. In that glance, he knew. The woman beside him was not just a partner. She was equal, strategic, fearless, brilliant. You forgot one thing, Myungdae said quietly. I don't just survive. I dominate, and I never do it alone. Bekte crumpled under their combined precision, the ghost finally erased. Back at the safe house, the city below serene and peaceful, they sat side by side. Exhaustion and adrenaline mingled with relief and an unspoken intimacy. You were incredible, Myungdae murmured, brushing a strand of wet hair from her face. And you weren't too bad yourself, Kendra replied, a teasing smile tugging at her lips. He leaned closer, voice low, intimate. I don't want this to be over. Not the night, not us. Her chest tightened. Neither do I. And in the soft glow of the firelight, with the city safe, for now, they let themselves finally acknowledge the bond forged in danger, trust, and undeniable desire. Myungdae, she whispered, voice barely audible. What now? He cupped her face, eyes soft but intense. Now we rebuild. The empire, our lives, and maybe something more. Her heart raced, hope and excitement mingling with the adrenaline still coursing through her veins. Yes, she breathed. Together, they embraced, the first time not in battle, not in strategy, but in trust, passion, and mutual devotion. The city outside glimmered, powerless to interrupt the moment, and powerless to challenge what had grown between them. Seoul woke under a soft golden light, the city stretching peacefully beneath a sky cleared of storm clouds. Kendra stood on the balcony of Myungdae's penthouse, the skyline glittering like a field of stars reflected in glass. He joined her silently, his presence warm and grounding. No threats, no ambushes, just the quiet aftermath of victory. "You did it," she said softly, leaning into him. "No," he replied, placing a hand over hers on the railing. "We did it. Together." The words hung between them, heavier and more intimate than any weapon, any plan, any victory. Inside the penthouse, the empire they had fought so hard to protect was being rebuilt. Kendra had access to boards, financials, and strategic operations, not just as an advisor, but as a partner. "Myungdae," she said one evening, reviewing plans. "I never imagined I'd be part of this world, this empire, but somehow, I can't imagine being anywhere else." He smiled, leaning back in his chair, fingers brushing hers. "I knew from the moment I met you, you belong here. And beside me." Her pulse quickened. "Even after everything, the danger, the betrayal, especially because of everything," he said quietly. "You've earned this, your place, your trust, your life with me." That night, the city lights casting long shadows across the room, Myungdae and Kendra finally allowed themselves to drop the masks, the guards, the tension that had defined their relationship. He pulled her close, and for the first time in months, there was no danger pressing in, no missions, no enemies. Only them. "You've changed everything," he murmured, voice low, intimate. "Even me. And you've changed me," she whispered, pressing her forehead against his. Their kiss was slow, tender, and full of the fire they had kept bottled through danger and intrigue. Every touch, every glance, was a promise of trust, of love, and of a future they would build together. Weeks later, Kendra and Myungdae stood together at the opening of a new Day One global headquarters. The empire was thriving, legitimate, strong, untouchable. Yet, it wasn't just the empire that had been rebuilt. It was them. Myungdae took her hand, holding it in front of the gathered crowd. "We built this together," he said, voice steady, powerful. "And now, we build the rest of our lives together." Kendra squeezed his hand, heart full. "Together," she echoed. They shared a smile, a private moment amidst the applause and congratulations. Their empire was secured, their hearts inseparable. Later, as the city slept once more, Kendra leaned against Myungdae, listening to the quiet hum of Seoul. "You know," she murmured, "I thought I was sent to seduce a mafia boss." He chuckled, brushing her hair from her face. And instead I fell in love with him," she said softly. His lips found hers in a kiss that spoke of promise, passion, and permanence. "Yes," he whispered, voice low, dark, and utterly sincere. "And I am with you." The world outside could wait. The empire was theirs, and so was the love that had grown. Forged in danger, tempered by fire, and sealed in trust. For Kendra Malcolm and Myungdae, the city's most powerful man, this was more than victory. It was the beginning of everything.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the story, please do not forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Also tell us the country you are watching us from in the comments section so that we will make a story for you.